Hey everybody, welcome back to A Better Computer. My name is Matt, and today we're taking a look at this. This is the iPhone 16e. As Apple says, it completes the iPhone 16 family of phones, and I wanted to give you my first impressions of it today. I've only had it for 24 hours, so this is not a full review. I don't get embargoed phones from Apple, so I had to pick it up on launch day like everybody else, and wanted to give you an impression of some of the things that I think are most notable about it, and the things that you're going to want to know if you're making recommendations to someone else, whether they should get this, or if you're just in the market for an iPhone and don't want to spend $1,000, $1,200, or even more on a phone. You just want an iPhone, but you don't want to break the bank. Is this a decent phone? What are some of the things you should know? So I have 4 things I want to talk about today really quickly. Now, the first thing I want to mention is battery life, which is, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade this has over the iPhone SE that it's replacing. So if you are buying this phone, I don't think you have to worry about battery life. The iPhone SE before had such terrible battery performance that it made it hard for me to recommend to anybody. I'm the tech person in my family, so I get people who ask me phone questions all the time, and a lot of people asked about the iPhone SE, and the biggest thing that held me back from recommending it wasn't the old specs, wasn't the bezels or anything. It was the battery life. The battery life was horrendous, and people who don't particularly care about their phone are also the people who definitely don't want to be carrying around a battery bank to charge while they're like out in the town on vacation or something. They don't want to have a charging strategy. They just want their phone to work, right? And the fact that this is going to last significantly longer is great. It's nearly doubling the advertised battery life of the iPhone SE that it's kind of replacing in the lineup. And it's even better than the iPhone 16. So that's really, really good. In terms of Apple's advertised battery life, it compares very well within a couple percent of the iPhone 16 Pro, which I've been using since September and find to be really good for battery life. So if it does indeed do what Apple says it's going to do, I think that's a huge upgrade. Then let's talk about the display. The display on this thing is honestly very good. I know if you look at the specs, you can tell it's not as good as the iPhone 16 or even 15, I think, but like it's a pretty darn good screen. It is an OLED screen, same resolution or same pixels per inch. I think it's ever so slightly a different resolution than the 16 and 16 Pro, but like it's right there and it looks really good. As someone who uses the 16 Pro every day, this is really indistinguishable to me in terms of display quality, in terms of display brightness. The brightness is not, like I said, not as good as the newer phones, but I'm in just a normally lit room right now and my phone is showing 30% brightness. So like it doesn't go as high as those. And if you're outside, in theory, it's going to be harder to see quicker than one of the Pro phones or the normal iPhone 16s that you can also get. But I've used this outside the last day and it's been fine for me. But yeah, I'm not super worried about it. I would not be concerned about the display quality in this phone. I think it's really, really good. Now, the third thing I wanted to mention is the design, which honestly, I kind of prefer how this phone looks overall than the iPhone 16 Pro. The big thing for me is the cameras. There's one camera on this one. There's 3 cameras on this one, which we all know is more functional, right? We know the ultra wide and the telephoto lens give you more reach, gives you more functionality, gives you close-ups and everything. It's really good. I like having a 3-camera system. It makes my phone feel more powerful, but honestly, one camera looks so good. I miss when phones just had one camera and just looked clean like this. The bump is much less significant when you put it on a surface. I'm really happy with it. I think this looks really good. I think the black and white colors they have look sharp. I would love to have had more fun colors, but here we are. And yeah, I think my only real issues with the design are the bezels around the side of the screen, which are more significant than on the Pros and the normal iPhones that you can get today. Every year, Apple says they like reduce the bezels slightly, and we do a comparison year over year, and we're like, it's not that big a deal. But when you go back a couple years, I think this is about in line with what the iPhone 14 had. You really notice it. Like, these are chunky bezels, and I don't like it. I assume I would get used to it if I just used it for a long time. And again, if I'm coming from an iPhone SE, which had these chunkers, yeah, I would be totally fine with it. But yeah, I don't personally love the bezels. The other little thing is that I was really happy last year when iPhone, or 2 years ago, when Apple kind of beveled off the sides of the iPhone 15 lineup to make them softer to the touch. The 16e still has the sharper edges of the iPhone 12 through 14 generations, which I didn't love as much. You'll probably put this in a case, so it won't be a huge deal, but yeah, a bit of a downgrade there. I wish they would have beveled it off a little bit more like they do with the other phones, but that's okay. The big thing that annoys me with this phone, and the one The one cut that I really wish they didn't make is MagSafe. There is no MagSafe in this phone, and that's a real bummer because so much of the world since the iPhone 12, when MagSafe was introduced in the iPhones, so many of the accessories out there for iPhones assume you have MagSafe, and that was just a thing you could assume all iPhone owners have. It's not a thing you can assume that iPhone 16e owners have, which is a shame. I really think that makes the accessory ecosystem less practical. I do know there are some phone cases out there that will make it so that you have the magnets and all these accessories will work. So there is a workaround there. And again, most people will use this with a case, but that's just a thing you have to look out for. If you're someone who is buying an iPhone 16e and you're buying a case, which again, you probably are, you need to make sure that you're getting one that has the MagSafe kind of addition into it, which Apple's don't, for what it's worth. So if you're buying just at the Apple store, you're probably not getting a case that has MagSafe. And that's a bummer. You may not care about it today, but you might care about it when you're looking at like car mounts or bedside charging accessories. Like you may not have this ability to use them, and it's going to really make the accessory market a little trickier for you. So that's definitely a bummer. I really wish that was in here. It really kind of sours me on the whole phone overall, honestly. Then we get to the price, which is definitely the most contentious part of this. It's definitely the thing that's made a lot of people look at this phone like, I'm not sure it really warrants that price point. And I get it. If this was $499, I'd be like, this is a great budget phone. But at $490 or $599, it's a little much. I get it. I would say when I'm looking at places like Best Buy, carriers, eBay, I'm looking at this. This is basically in line on average with what I'm seeing for the price of an iPhone 14 right now. So, Matt from the edit here, I went on eBay and actually found some refurbished phones. And if you're willing to go refurbished or just used from someone else, you can actually save a couple $100. So, there are some deals out there if you would prefer the iPhone 14. But if you want a new one, it's going to be about what Apple's charging right now as of recording this video. That's about what you're going to spend. And honestly, for me, I would rather have this. It's got the newer processor. It's going to be supported for longer. It's got Apple Intelligence if you're into that. But yeah, I think it's definitely more compelling than buying a almost 3-year-old iPhone at this point. Now, of course, the iPhone SE started at $429, so this is $170 more expensive starting. It does have more storage, it has better specs, but obviously specs get better every year anyway, and prices don't need to go up for that all the time. So yeah, from that perspective, I don't think it's a bad deal. I do kind of wish that it was a little bit cheaper. I think that would make it an easier pill to swallow. I do wish that it had MagSafe. I really think MagSafe is the black mark on this phone. I really, really, really wish it had it. But yeah, even without that, I understand why it's priced this way. I do wish there was a cheaper iPhone available. You can obviously go back to like an iPhone 13 or 12 or whatever and get those. But those are getting pretty old at this point. They're not going to be supported for as long as you might want. And yeah, you probably want to spend more money to make that phone last longer. Again, these are not for people who upgrade their phone every year. They're for people who buy a phone and just want an iPhone and don't want to spend a ton of money. So yeah, it's a bummer that the floor for iPhone pricing has gone up, but it doesn't seem crazy to me. And of the other options, to me, this is still what I would recommend if you were looking to spend around $600 on an iPhone. So that's it for my first impressions. This was a little longer than I expected, but hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the stuff with the phone. Again, some other reviews are out there that have used it longer, and I'll try to do one later if that makes sense. But thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.